No, Rory and Mom.
I want to talk about that Logic and his dad having that that interview or that conversation with each other on camera.
What do you think about it?
I just feel like that's a conversation, and I get it. That conversation will help others in a situation similar to that and help them. But I just feel like everything is not content, bro. I just feel like some shit is just supposed to be like that's so intimate and such like a real thing that I just don't think that cameras should be recording that. That's just how I feel about that.
I'm with you. I wouldn't do that, but I don't know if you're a very hurt kid and you're trying to get over something and everybody's trying to go off your success financially based off you talking about traumas and it is very painful to you. Maybe I need to show my pops how this shit goes. Like, you sit here and devote your whole pain to the world if you want to also get the money from it. Because I have to get a lot of the backlash and bullshit based off what happened to me. And you want the success of it, but not the backlash or the trauma of telling the world how fucked up things are in your life. Like, I'm not saying his pop signed up for it, nor does your family need to go through the public scrutiny for them to financially profit off your success. But yeah.
Yeah, but everything is just not camera.
No, I agree. I would never do what he did. A lot of his music does deal with the trauma that he's been through in his life. I know he had a very rough upbringing. I know people clown him because he tries to talk about it, myself included.
You know he's black? I learned that from the interview.
I had no idea.
You didn't know Logic?
He's being very sarcastic.
No, his dad. I just didn't see. I never saw his dad. I didn't know he was black.
How did you think Logic was biracial? You thought his mom was black? Or did you not know he's biracial?
I just didn't know.
He's being very sarcastic right now.
That's serious. I thought it was very telling and insightful and educational.
So, all right,
Logic's black.
Put yourself in that situation.
The world's healed.
Myself included clowns him for that all the time. And you do this, I'm black, I'm white, I'm black and I'm white, and I'm black, and I'm white, and I'm white. Like all the hooks of his songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
and
same
you get all that ridicule,
but
you're also a multimillionaire and have to deal with. That's the other thing I don't think people realize when people rap about all that pain and trauma that they talk about. Just because y'all like the song doesn't mean that they don't have to still deal with that.
Yeah.
I watched the clip of him talking about his 9 fucking siblings and all this other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's asking for something. And I'm profiting off all of this based off the shit I put out to the world. And the world outside of my core fan base is also clowning me about this. If y'all want some of this money, come sit in the chair with me and see how much this sucks. You put me through a lot of shit when I was a kid. Now when I talk about this trauma, thank God I've made a life for myself. But I also get a lot of pushback and you still want money. See how it feels. I completely disagree with it.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out, looking at it from maybe his perspective, where do I think maybe he was exploiting his dad? Sure, and I'm fine with that point of view. But also Logic doesn't view things the way the rest of us do, or any artist or any successful person in that matter, or anyone that's been through that type of trauma.
Yeah.
Like, stop asking me for money. All right, you want to do that? Then sit with me and let's talk about it on camera. Let's go make some money together. Yeah. And if you want... I would never do that.
Yeah.
But I have a theory, and I think, like most artists, especially someone like Logic, who's been successful for over a decade at this point. I mean, he's been doing
some multimillionaire. He's doing fine.
Well, not just financially. I mean, like, I think mentally, a lot of artists build their sense of value through the gratification and support of other people, through the consumer. So for him to pour out his heart and do these things and expose just himself, then it's like, okay, I'm doing this for myself. But
he's talked about his family though in his music.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's doing it the best he can dolo. Like, he's like, I'm speaking on behalf of my legacy, my family, my lineage. So I think it's more so like I need to ramp this up a bit and prove that I'm right more than I can communicate via the music. So let me put my dad on camera, put this out to the people that I seek the comments from, the gratification from, and then receive the positive feedback that I do with my music. That's an angle that I would look at.
Well, I guess my question with everything, with how music has changed and how content is so important to be tied to music, we've never been mad at an artist pouring their heart out about their family members, naming specific family members, everything that they went through, whether it be girlfriends, wives, kids, their childhood. That was always fine. We actually encouraged and thought that was what made great artists. Now that the world has shifted and content is so important, what is the difference? Is it not exploitation the same way? Because now I'm talking to my family member rather than doing it over a beat.
It's more personal.
Like how is it? How come we never said it was exploitation when we've loved every artist to talk about their traumas, their entire life, name names,
but it's
do
different
everything?
because your dad is actually sitting right there now with the camera.
Rory,
in his
there was a
face.
level of
No,
anonymity.
I'm asking a question.
There's a
because
level
times
of,
have changed.
with music. There's a level of anonymity, and yes, everyone has a dad, everyone has a mom. Eminem talked about killing his mom 1,000 fucking times, but she wasn't sitting across from him, and
she wasn't in the booth, and he was like rapping at her. Like,
it was just like not theoretically. If he was being literal, not he has a mom, but you still don't know who that woman is. Yeah, this is like, yo, dad, you're sitting, do this because I want you to do this, and I'm going to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
sure.
It's just not. It's something about that. It's too personal. But like, keep that family, keep that in house. Deal with that. I'm not saying don't have the conversation and talk, but keep that to the family. I shouldn't be privy to that conversation between you and your dad. Like
we could say that about so many great rappers. Like, should I be privy that Hove shot his older brother? Like, it's a lot of trauma shit that we champion. And again, I would never sit with my dad and do something like that. And
but you wouldn't do it because it's too personal.
But also, I'm not Logic, so I can't base everything off of the trauma that Logic went through. Where him trying to heal, and when you're trying to heal, sometimes you do vindictive things because you want people to feel the same pain you felt, and sat him there to straight up exploit him and make him feel the fucking pain that he's had to feel.
But what you're saying,
and I know it's fucked up, but like, I'm not, again, like, we can't judge everyone based off how they're trying to heal, even though I completely disagree with what he did, and I think he probably did exploit his dad.
Yeah, but what you're saying outside of the sit down on the artist perspective we do in podcasting, like you just said, the incident you had with your dad, you've never talked about it or addressed it, but here we are talking about it and sharing that with our audience. So it's like, I'm not saying you're exploiting that system, but I'm saying, what would it be? You're comfortable doing that because this is your art, and we're comfortable saying things that we probably haven't said to people to their face. But you wouldn't do this shit on this camera on this format with him there, because it's not appropriate to do it like that. But you can freely talk about it.
I agree with you.
With
us.
us.
I think there's plenty of things I don't find appropriate, but I'm also not in that person's shoes and don't understand how they're dealing with probably a way drastically different life than I had. I think Logic probably went through a lot of shit. I think a lot of times we clown that guy because he's a extremely hurt soul and went through a lot of shit that most of us could never overcome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I give him some grace, even though I'm not a fan of his music per se. I have listened to it, and I don't think he's lying. I don't think a lot of us could go through what Logic went through. I have not been through half of what Logic went through. I don't think he's lying. It's fucked up. So how could I sit here and imagine somebody that's gotten to this success, now has 2 kids, wife, and is really trying, has had his dad try to be a grandpa, and is trying to heal some shit he went through where no one was looking out for him, is going about it the only way he knows how. And I think we can all say that's fucking wrong, but who are we to say that?
I just think
who are we to say it?
I just think it's a little too intimate, a little too personal.
Agreed, but
and I know that things like that now are all over the internet. People just, nothing is private anymore. Nothing is, everything is for content. Everything is to share with the world and get a reaction and go viral and things like that. But it's just certain things that I just can't get with the new times when it comes to certain things like that. Like that conversation to me is like, I think have that conversation maybe when y'all are in a more healed, better space. Then y'all could, because it seems like it's still a lot of hurt and a lot of like emotions there behind what happened, as a child growing up. But I think if y'all get past that and are in a better space, as far as personally and y'all lives with each other, then I think, have your dad on, say, listen, man, me and my dad been, going through therapy, we've been doing all of this, we've been healing, our relationship is great now. It was times where as a kid, I missed him and I wanted him around for these moments and things like that. But I think when it's still like fresh and it's still like a lot of, things that haven't been discussed, I think that is something you can't give. It's too intimate.
And I personally completely agree with you, and we can close this and close the episode. The last thing I will say is, can you not understand when someone has felt extremely powerless their entire life based off the people that were supposed to raise them, once they get the power to return some of that energy?
Yeah.
I felt powerless my whole life, and now I have the power. And it's
felt powerless in terms of what?
I mean, just based off what I watched with that interview, I feel like Logic feels like he was very much abandoned and not cared for. And now that he has been successful, is now cared for.
Mm.
And he felt powerless his whole life, just feel like he had nothing, nobody cared for him.
Mm.
And then to now have somebody come back to say, hey, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, where were you when I needed help? And I don't agree with how he went about it, but I can totally see how someone could feel that way once they now have the power. So now I can make you feel like you're powerless. Now I can make you feel what I felt my whole childhood, because now I'm the one in control.
No, because like that moment, but like don't, because this is where I lean back to my initial theory. If it's really about you controlling the narrative, not controlling the narrative, but being in that moment of power, then don't share this with people who have nothing to do with this shit, and let them be.
And not only
I think he's seeking the validation from other people. I think it was less about him having that one-on-one with his dad.
We had that whole conversation with Logic. We had that conversation with Logic in Malibu about that whole thing. We know that's how he thinks.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't eating sushi with you guys. My bad. I didn't.
And Adam Sandler was there too. In basketball shorts.
Drop his ring.
You may have heard of him.
But no, to that exact point, that we know Logic to be that. So if you know someone that is looking for validation from the rest of the world and has felt powerless their whole life, the only way he knows how to go about this whole thing, once he now has the power, is to do what he did. Again, I'm not agreeing with it, but we need to put context to this shit.
I don't like that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either.
I get it, but
how can I shit on somebody when you add context into it? Even if I disagree with it, I know where it came from.
Yeah, he's doing what he thinks. He's doing what he's comfortable, or what he's known, or what he feels needs to be done. But I think that there's a lot of real growing and real maturity that's lacking on the back end. It's really mature and big of him to have that moment with his dad and talk, but it's also now we're.
But how can you have maturity?
We're losing.
How can you have maturity in how you deal with your family when your family never gave you maturity?
No, that's fair. No, I'm not. Look, I'm not.
We're asking Logic to move around at this age with no point of reference when it comes to family. How did he handle his dad? He never had a dad. How could he know how to handle his dad? His dad didn't know how to handle his son.
But I'm saying, do the growth.
He was supposed to be the teacher.
Do the growth in private.
That's unfair to put on somebody. Even though I agree with you, that's unfair.
It's just more work to put cameras and mics on.
It is.
Even if that is your tactic, even if that brings you some sort of joy. And again, I think the joy comes from other people talking about it. But have that moment and record. To Maul's point, have 10 of these conversations. Record all of them. Fucking stick a camera in your asshole. But when you're actually healed and you guys are in a very good place, then like release them so you can also reflect, have those moments, and then by the time all of them are out, you're not even really worried about the comments because you guys are cool.
To me, that's more that's exploiting in its definition to me. If your goal is to do all that, I honestly, which I know people disagree with me, I think Logic really put those cameras on and had that combo. If he's planning all of this strategically and like we should do episodes this way and like let's turn the cameras on, I could chop shit up. Then at this point, you are exploiting this entire conversation.
How is this not exploiting right now?
No, it is. But If
I think
you're
it's
just
definitely-
like if you
I
start
think
doing
it's
a
definitely
planning
calculated.
rollout with it,
100%.
like chopping all that
A
up.
1-800 number's coming.
What's
Just
that?
like this- just
That
like-
was an exploitation.
If you missed your dad at baseball practice,
Yo, having a 1-800 number to miss your dad is crazy.
call me. I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Who would be
Okay,
the
but
imaginary dad?
sometimes is exploitation good?
A bunch of dads.
I'll say who would be the dad on it.
Because-
no, the bit is you call the 3-digit number and no one answers. It's just dial tone.
Dad's not here.
Yeah.
He's at
Dad
work.
went to go get cigarettes.
He's
My,
at work.
my
You see
dad
how
is
that
so
works?
my dad is so
He went
old
to
right
the
now,
bodega.
doesn't know how to use the
Dad
phone.
went to the bodega.
Somebody has to pay the bills around here, son.
Left on green.
No worry and mouse.